Have you ever found yourself saying, I wish there was more time in the day? Or constantly being pulled away from your important task by a whole bunch of other menial tasks that don't move the needle towards your vision, or even just flat out waste your time when you know you should be being productive? I've been there too, my friend. In fact, I really struggle with this. In fact, I sometimes still struggle with this. I just don't like rigid structure like that. I kind of just like to flow, but with boundaries, if that makes sense. So I ask myself, how can I maximize my time each day without being held hostage by my calendar? Because when you control your day instead of letting your day control you, you lead a life and business you are proud of and not one that you are stressed about. It took some time, but I figured some stuff out. These 3 steps I'm about to share with you in this episode led to me tripling my productivity without me being some uber disciplined David Goggins Navy SEAL strapped to my calendar and phone type of individual. It really just took me getting clear on a few things and one daily framework that does so much more with so much less. You're listening to the Build Your Vision podcast, a podcast series about maneuvering the ups and downs of building a life that you're proud of, captured in real time. A community where dreamers become doers and doers become world changers. Let's go. Yo, what's up? This is the Build Your Vision podcast, the #1 self-leadership podcast for visionaries who are serious, not just curious about building a life and business they are proud of. I'm Clee, the visionary, your self-leadership coach, and it is my mission to lead you on the journey of becoming a visionpreneur, an individual who makes impact and income with their ideas, insights, and influence, because someone needs what you are building. Guys, today I want to let you in on how I have become a more productive version of myself and how you can do the exact same thing by implementing 3 steps into your daily life. They really help me, and I just want to share them with you. That cool? All right, cool. So let's just get straight into it. So the first step is discovery. It is crazy to me how school and society teaches us to research everything out there but ourselves. We are experts on everybody else's life, all other subjects in history, except for the actual people, souls, and bodies that we actually live in every single day. It baffles my mind. So one way that I was able to become more productive, and you can too, is just by discovering who you actually are. How do we do this, Clee? I'm about to share with you. I've talked about this a bunch of times on the podcast, but we're going to say it again. There was a book I was reading, what was this? Maybe in 2020 during the pandemic. It was called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It starts off with, you have to be the programmer. Like, imagine yourself in a game. You have to be the programmer of the game. You cannot just be a character in the game. You have to program it. In other words, you need to be a proactive individual, not a reactive individual, because reactive individuals are not highly effective. Proactive individuals are highly effective. So I'm reading this. I'm like, okay, yep, that makes sense. Be proactive. How the heck, though, am I supposed to be proactive if I can't predict the future? Am I just supposed to be ready for anything and everything? That's what I was thinking, right? And you might be thinking that too. But this is how. And I've said it a whole bunch of times. You're going to hear me say it again. I'm going to keep saying it because it works. Stephen Covey, the author of the book, said, begin with the end in mind. He asks you to write your obituary, meaning, what do you want said about you when you are no longer on this earth? What do you want your life, your legacy, your business, your mission, all that stuff to have stood for while you were here and alive? And of course, if you're hearing this for the first time, you're kind of like, what, bro? That's kind of weird. I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, I don't know if I really want to do this, but I did it. And it gives so much more clarity on how to operate in the present because you're clear about the desired future. Derek Sivers calls this calling the destination and asking for directions. And I love that quote because it reminds me of a time when I was going to, where was I going? Like to the doctor or something like that. And it was a new doctor. It was a new doctor's office. And, these doctor's offices, if you ever been to one, well, I hope you've been to the doctors, hopefully within the past year. They're like in these business complexes or plazas, or like in these business buildings, right? They're like in a suite room in one of these buildings. So I know the address to the doctor's office. So I'm like, I'm good, right? So I pull up, but I get there on time, right? Which is really pulling up to the doctor's office, especially if it's new, because you probably got to fill out some paperwork stuff too. That's really late. So I get there like on time. Like I arrive at the destination at the time of the appointment, which is really late. But then I realized I got out the car. I was like, oh, I don't really know where the office is. Like I'm here in the vicinity, but I don't know what suite it's in. So I'm like looking at the board in the foyer of the building, and I'm walking over. People, probably a security guard on the camera, was like, "What is this guy? A suspect? We might need to like keep an eye on him," because I'm walking around all lost. And finally, I found the office. But by that time, I was legitimately late, and I was kind of upset. I was like, "Why didn't I just find out where the room was ahead of time? Why didn't I do that?" And that's what we are like when we do not begin with the end in mind. It's like you think you know where you're going. You think you know exactly what you want to do with your life. You think you know exactly how you want to live. But when you actually like try to write it down, you're like, oh snap, I'm not as clear as I thought I was. It's like you could get to within the vicinity, the area, the complex, the building of where you want to be, but actually getting to the destination, the room, the office that you're supposed to be in, you're lost because you did not call the destination and ask for directions. Imagine how much more quickly I could have got to where I was supposed to be if I had just called the dang office and asked them before my appointment what room they were in. They could have just gave me the directions. Hey, when you walk in, there's going to be a flight of stairs. Go up, turn to the left. It's the first door on your left. Like, it could have been that easy, but I did not begin with the end in mind, if you understand what I'm saying, right? So that is what it's like in our lives. So this stuff works, and it makes you more productive in the present because you know exactly what you need to do now so that you get to where you want to go in the future. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. So the second part of this is like section 1A, right, of the discovery portion, right? This is step 1A. There's two parts of this. So you have the obituary, begin with the end in mind. Also, I've talked about this a whole bunch of times on this podcast already. Like, I think this is in episode like 121, 122, the U Inc. series 109 through like 115, something like that. So if you want to get more in depth, you can go there, or you can go on my website. I have a whole course, Consistently Confident Transformation Program. It's all there. So if you want to find out, go to visionaries.co. The second thing you want to develop is your value ladder. I call it the value ladder. This is simply you prioritizing your values of your life. I recommend not having any more than 10. By the time you get to more than 10, they are no longer priorities. They are just a list of things that you like, right? So you rank them in order of the priority they have in your life. So like for me, I got like 9 of them. The first one is faith. Second one is family. Third one is growth and improvement. Fourth, impact and influence. Freedom, finances, friends, fun. Those are all on the list. Oh, and fitness. I left that one out. That's like number 7, I think. Fitness. So I know, and it helps me be more productive because I don't have to waste brain energy trying to figure out what decisions I need to make throughout the day because I've already prioritized my priorities or my values ahead of time. So if something comes up, I know which action I'm going to take because I know, hey, look, I take my impact and influence more seriously than I take my freedom, right? So if it makes me a little bit more confined making this decision, I'm okay because I prioritize impact and influence over freedom, or I prioritize my faith over my friends. So if it's going to be something that compromises my faith, I'm not going to participate because I already know my value ladder. I don't have to waste time in the present trying to make these decisions using my brain energy because I already made those decisions prior. A lot of being productive is just reserving your willpower throughout the day. But when you have these type of situations where you got to waste brain energy making decisions in the present about things you could have done beforehand, you are depleting your willpower throughout the day and you become less and less productive as the day continues. Okay, so that was step 1A, right? That was a lot, but we're going to get through this thing. Begin with the end in mind and have your value letter in the discovery step. 1B, right? So discovery part B. Your rules of life. This name is kind of self-explanatory. It's literally the rules you live your life by, right? So for me, I split this up into like 5 sections or something like that. So it's like spiritual life, relational life, physical life, emotional, mental life, and health, right? And I split those things and I have rules for each of those pieces of my life. So like for spiritual life, it's like I start and end the day meditating on scripture. Like that's a rule of life. Every day I'm going to start and end my day meditating on scripture. Or relational rule of life. Like at least once a week, I'm going to call on the phone a family or friend that I haven't talked to in a while. or physical rule of life. I'm going to work out at least 5 times a week. These are different things that are rules of life in different areas of my life. And it simply makes me more productive because I actually see what I want to do and be on paper. Because lots of times we just forget. It's like, yeah, we make the goal in our mind. Oh, I want to do this. I want to be that. And then we just go about our lives and we kind of forget about it. But since I have it written down in my Build Your Vision planner, I see it like every day and I'm like, oh, shoot, did I call somebody this week? I need to do that, like type of thing. And it makes me more productive because I'm actually doing more of the things that I want to do and not filling that time. I could be doing things that I actually desire and prioritize in my life with things that I don't. And I feel like crap afterwards because I just feel like I'm wasting my time. All right. So discovery part C, knowing my gifts. This is so important because I'm able to do things that I know I'm strong at and delegate things I know I'm weak at, which makes me way more productive, right? School will probably teach you like, oh, you need to work on your weaknesses because you need to get strong in that area. No, get sufficient where you can survive in that area, right? You are functional, and then find other ways to get that job done without you having to sweat it. And double down on the things that God has gifted you in, right? So for me, I know that I have gifts in administration. I have gifts in teaching and exhortation. Like that's what I do. That's what I do on this podcast, right? It's exhortation. I'm compelling you to action in certain areas. I'm doing a lot of teaching, right? I'm going to double down on this. One thing that I'm not the most gifted at is support and details. I am not the best at like support. Like you got to tell me how to help you. Like I do not have intuitive, like some people just know how to help and just be helpful and caring and give. Like I'm here, but you got to tell me what to do. I'm going to be here, but you got to tell me. So that I know that's not my gift. I had to put people around me who are strong in that area so that they could supplement me in spaces that I am weak. And it makes me so much more productive because I'm doubling down on what I'm good at. So I'm able to produce more. And also I'm not leaving behind what I'm bad at because I'm delegating or I'm getting supplemented by people who I surround myself with who are strong in those areas like support and details because I'm a visionary. I'm all the way up in the clouds and they got to bring me down to earth sometimes. Okay, so that is step 1, the discovery phase. You got to know yourself. If you don't know yourself, you're going to have a hard time being more productive because you have to curate your productivity to who you are as an individual. Hey, before we get back to the episode, I just want to quickly share with you guys something that I've been working on because I keep getting asked, hey, Clee, how do you launch a podcast? Teach me how to launch a podcast. How do you maintain a podcast? And I'm like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how you can launch a whole show, not half a show, not part of a show, not the idea or concept of a show, an actual show that's live on podcast directories, like on Spotify in 27 minutes. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. It's going to be quality. It's going to be awesome. I'm doing this training live on April 2nd. You definitely want to pull up because I believe that everyone needs a podcast. I'm going to explain exactly why and how it can greatly, greatly benefit your life, your pockets, and your purpose in this live webinar. And I'm going to teach you how to do it even if you have absolutely no experience with any equipment or tech regarding a podcast. You definitely don't want to miss it. And then I mentioned it's completely free. I'm just giving it away because I feel like people honestly just need to have this information. And I'm getting tired of kind of saying it to individual people. I might as well just put it out there for everyone to hear. So you can click the link in the description or go to buildyourvision.co. That's buildyourvision.co. And there's going to be an announcement banner at the very top of my homepage. You could click there and sign up. I hope to see you there. So step 1 was discovery. Step 2 is develop. You got to develop 2 things to be more productive. That is your life contracts and your premise. I'll explain what these mean. So your life contracts are contracts that you basically sign to yourself for your life. I have 3 contracts that I live by in my life. That is a why statement, a vision statement, and a mission statement. I also talk about this in the U-Wing series. I believe that's episode like 109 to 115. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's where it is. And I have a whole Find Your Why challenge course, free mini course that you can get into. I'll put that in the show notes if you're interested. Your why statement is the meaning behind your vision. Your vision statement is the painted picture of your vision. And your mission statement is the plan for your vision. So you have the purpose for your vision, the painted picture of your vision, and the plan for your vision. And those are your 3 contracts that you need to live your life by. So like, I know my why is to live optimally so that others are inspired to do the same and God gets the glory, right? Everything I do stems out of that. If I don't see myself being able to do that, like, that's just not the opportunity for me. And if I'm in a situation where I don't have control, I know I have to position myself so that I am still accomplishing my why within the parameters that I'm in at that moment. Now, how does this affect my productivity? Because I'm always doing something that I care about. Somehow I'm going to shift my paradigm so that I see whatever I'm doing contributing to my why because I am aware of what it is. I was sharing with my mom like a few days ago, probably at the time of this recording, that she needs to figure out what her why statement is because she is passionate about a certain thing and I'm seeing these themes in her life, but she's worried about the vehicle that's going to get her there. And I'm like, hey, Mom, look, you need to figure out what the destination is first. Then it won't matter what vehicle you take to get there because you're going to get the same desired result. I hope that's making sense, right? So if you want to serve children in need, right? That's the ultimate thing. That's what you're passionate about. That's what you feel like God has called you to. And that's your why. That's the purpose behind your vision, right? If you want to start a shelter or a school or whatever it is, that is the purpose. Now, there could be a couple ways you could get there. You could become a government grant specialist and figure out how to fund these type of projects. And that is the means to an end for your vision or for your why. You could become an educator within the system. That's another vehicle you could take. Or you could become a teacher's consultant where you are training educators on how to impact these children. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's different vehicles to get to the same destination, but you don't know what the destination is if you have not discovered what your why is, which is the purpose behind everything that you do. And this applies to the vision. This applies to the mission as well. Like, these things are really important. And you can see how it can make you way more productive because you actually have direction on where you're headed. So that's step 2, part A, right? Development. Part A is your life contracts. Part B is your premise. What do I mean by premise? So a little while back, I read a book called A Million Miles in 1,000 Years by Donald Miller. And I actually did a podcast episode on this book. It's called A Message to All Dreamers. I believe it's like episode 91, maybe. Yeah, I think it might be episode 91. And essentially, the whole point of the book is that Donald Miller was an author, right? And he wrote a best-selling book prior to this book called, I believe, like Blue Like Jazz or something like that. I actually haven't read the book. I've been meaning to read it. I just haven't read that one yet. And the book did so well that he was approached by some filmmakers that wanted to make it into a movie. And he's writing in this book, A Million Miles in 1,000 Years. And he's saying like, hey, I like that you guys are trying to make this movie, but it seems like as we go on through the filming process, this is becoming not what the book was. Like, this is a whole different type of story. And the film directors pull him aside and they're like, hey, Donald, look, the bottom line is your life's pretty boring. So we had to do this to make the movie actually good. And he was like, oh, okay. And it was at that moment that he realized that even though his story might look good on paper, it wouldn't perform good in the box office. And that a lot of our lives are that way, where we stay comfortable. We don't take many inciting incidents, right? Those are risk. Those what we use in movie language is inciting incident. Every single character has to go through an exciting incident that pushes them into action so they become the hero of the story, right? We are not living heroic stories. We're living comfortable, risk-less, complacent, comfortable lives that aren't writing anything that other than that looks good on paper, right? Yeah, you might have a nice resume, but what does your actual lifestyle look like? And when I read that, I was like, holy smokes, I'm in the same situation as Donald. I'm not taking enough risk. I'm not doing the things I actually want to do. I'm playing it safe. I am getting older, not getting any time back, and not actually pursuing what I want to pursue in life. So when I had that epiphany, I did this weird thing where I approached every day like it was an episode in a TV show. And I started calling it the Hollywood method. When I tell you this revolutionized my productivity on immense levels, I mean, it was crazy. Because I was like, if I want this to be a good show, I should actually do something today that contributes to the character that I want to be. So every single show, like if you look on Netflix, right, if you like scroll through on your smart TV, right, or on your computer, like the different shows, each show, if you open it up and you haven't watched it yet, has a premise. It might show up even like as the show description, right? But basically it will show this character wants this thing, but is facing this conflict in the show. That's literally how every single show is set up. It's like this character wants this character to do this, but this is in his way. Or this character needs to accomplish this thing in order to save his family, but this is in his way. Or this character is desiring love, so she goes to a tropical island to find it, but this is what's happening that's getting in her way. Like that's literally the formula for every single show premise that you will look. You could go look it up and you'll see I'm telling the truth. So I literally designed a premise for my life, for Cleavon, and I made it like it was a TV show. Like I wrote a description like for my life. I read it every single day, or at least I try to read it every single day. Every time I look at my planner, I see it. It goes something like, a young and ambitious visionary attempts to influence 100 million lives just with the power of a microphone and his mind. I look at that every day and I remember, this is the story I'm building. This is the hero's journey that I'm on. Am I going to accomplish it today? Well, I guess I should do something that contributes to that. Revolutionize my productivity. And I know it might sound kind of silly, but it works. And it leads into the third step that I'm going to share for how I became 3 times more productive. So step 1, discovery, right? You got to have beginning with the end in mind and your value ladder, your rules of life, and knowing your gifts. Step 2, develop. You got to develop your life contracts and your premise. What type of story are you telling yourself each day with you being the main character? I did a whole challenge last year. And one of the main tag phrases that we use in the challenge, the key to consistency challenge, was main character energy. Main character energy. You got to maintain main character energy. That is how you become more productive. Step 3 is discipline. And when I say discipline, again, I'm not talking about a rigid calendar written phone, pager, BlackBerry, whatever, trying to be super like strict with your time. I'm just talking about curating your discipline to who you are as an individual. Here's a simple way I structure my discipline each day, utilizing the Hollywood method that I just talked about. I structure my day also like it is an episode in a movie. So I have a title for each day. I know it sounds silly, but this is really what I do. I have a title for each day. I have a summary for each day, just like a TV episode, right? So you have the title, right? That's the title of that episode. You have a summary. What is the episode about? Then I have my top 3. Those top 3 tasks for the day should contribute, at least 2 of them should contribute to the summary or the objective for that episode or that day in your life. So I have the title, the objective or summary, and then the top 3 tasks that contribute to that summary. Now, of course, if you really do need to get something done that's important, like take your car to the DMV or, get your emissions checked or have a super important doctor's appointment or surgery, that should probably be in your top 3. That's pretty important, even though it's not really contributing to your summary for that day. Or you can make that a doctor's episode day. I've done that before too. It's like, today, Cleavon will get his emissions checked. Like, that's the objective for the day. And if I'm successful in that episode, I will get my emissions checked. Below the top 3, I have my task scheduler. Those are all the other little things that I need to do in my day that aren't a part of my top 3 pillars. Now, I'm not talking about making a to-do list. No. This is just a scheduler. So literally I have times next to everything that I need to get done that day, including my top 3. Like the top 3 is in there. So it's like 6 a.m. I wake up, 6:05 I begin my morning routine with my reading my scriptures and brushing my teeth and stretching and all that stuff. 7 a.m. doing this, 8 a.m. doing that, 11 a.m. doing this, 12 p.m. eating lunch, whatever it is. I literally have it worked out in each day, including integrating my top 3 into that scheduler. And then I have a few other things on there, like a recap for the day and how much water I drank and how much sleep I got. And those are other ancillary things that kind of make things a little better, but it's not necessarily super critical to me being more productive. It's just helping me live a healthier lifestyle. Now, I know it might be a little hard to visualize on the podcast, but you can check this all out. It's a part of my Build Your Vision planner, and it's called the Key to Consistency ebook. It's like $7 on my website. I'll put the link in the show notes, and it has the background story to all of this. So it has way more in depth than I've shared in the episode. And then also it has the template and framework that you could print out for yourself. So you could fill these things in for your day so that you could be more productive just like I do. So those are the 3 steps that I use to triple my productivity. I hope you could grasp something from it and implement it into your life. And hey, look, if you got something else that contributes to your productivity, please let me know. We have this new feature now that I'm really excited about. You can leave voice messages on my podcast website on blog.buildyourvision.co. The link is in the show notes. As soon as you pull up my podcast website, it's like a blue tab on the right, and you can leave a voice message and share with me whatever you want to share about one of the episodes on the show. So I'll be happy if you do that because I want to hear from you. So to quickly recap the 3 steps: discovery, understanding that I'm the main character of my own TV show, and it's up to me every day, literally, to write a good episode that supports my premise. So I have to know who I am, right? You cannot have a main character and then not really know who the main character is or nothing about it, right? You got to do that discovery process. Society has us discovering and researching everybody and everything except for ourselves. Discover yourself. It will help you a lot. Development. You got to write your own life contracts and you got to write your premise, right? Develop those things, and I guarantee you will be more productive. You got to have a why statement, the purpose for your dream, the vision statement, the painted picture of your dream, and the mission statement, the plan for your dream. Tie that up with a premise, you're going to be on fire. I'm telling you, it works. And then discipline. You got to curate the discipline to yourself. I have this simple framework, right, that I just shared with you of title, summary, top 3, and then my scheduling tasks for the day. That keeps it super free, super fluid, not super rigid. I only got to accomplish about 3 things for that day, if that. Even if I only accomplish 2 of the 3, that's still a successful day. And I did things that actually moved the needle toward my vision, not just random stuff on my to-do list that I was trying to check off. And ultimately, this structure makes life a little bit more entertaining while also making it more manageable. Ultimately, these 3 steps help me see myself as a success, building a grand finale instead of a failure, just trying to keep up every day. And I want that for you too. So everything I referred to in today's episodes is going to be in the show notes. If you have a question about today's episode, please feel free to leave a voice message on my podcast website. Just click the blue tab on the right side of the screen at blog.buildyourvision.co. That's blog.buildyourvision.co. The link will be in the show notes. My name is Clee the Visionary. I will see you in the next one. And as always, keep building your vision every single day. Peace. Executive production by Cleavon Davis. Music production by Cleavon Davis and Christian Hernandez. The Build Your Vision podcast is a product of Build Your Vision, LLC.